Hello and welcome to the Scientology Money Project on YouTube. We had confused our slides at the beginning. Hope you weren't confused. I showed Mila and Ashton and Mila. I was thinking of doing an opening with the Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis fan club and doing a show about the time they took the vacation with Danny Masterson, but they Ashton and Mila pulled the release. So let me get that music down. I like that music. Welcome everyone to the show. Well, I got to tell you, today in the show we're fixing to chase some varmints, and those varmints are at LAPD and this cult called Scientology, which is just down the road that way. If you want to go to Pack Base, and that way if you want to go Celebrity Center, and the Celebrity Center where they keep all the celebrities. So anyway, welcome to the show. Boy, it's been a last 24 hours here in Franklin Village, all the contretemps, everything going on. So I want to talk about LAPD Scientology collusion. For new viewers, my name is Jeffrey Augustine. For many years, I wrote under the name of Jay Swift. So any old timers who are familiar with that name, that still is my pen name, but I don't really use it much anymore. And for new viewers, you may not know I'm a licensed private investigator in the state of California. So what I'm presenting on this show is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. It's not intended to be legal advice. It's just something that an open source I'm getting from open source intelligence. I'm looking at it as a PI, though I'm not engaged to any of the parties. I don't have anything to do. This is like as a Scientology critic. Okay, so I just had to do this. And Wayne's World of Science and Technology, I collect useful videos. Well, I'm going to make a point. You should collect and archive stuff when you're dealing with Scientology, because it can disappear. As we'll see on today's show, there's some evidence that has gone missing, been erased. Wow. Yes, I'm wearing the same hat because it's cold and rainy, and here it's cold and rainy here in LA. Not complaining at all, but I just didn't have time. I was so rushing before the show, and I just didn't have time to change. I mean, I cleaned up, but I thought that looks pretty good. And I got to do me some learning about them. They're OSINT. Yes, you do. Open source intelligence. And I'm fixing to educate y'all. It's Apostate Alex, Scientology. Yeah, we're going to get some varmints. It won't fit in. Yep. I can hardly wait for all this corruption by LAPD and Scientology to break free of the cover up they have created. Oh, no kidding. Hello, Monkey Paws. Greeting. Always like to see you and your kangaroos here. I like that. Looks good on you. Hello from Florida. Well, thanks. I like the older I get, the more I like it. Mary Smith. I'm glad to see you got you're here on time, Mary. And the Wild West. Yeah, it's going to be the Wild West. Shit, howdy. Well, looking forward to hearing how you work through this, like an investigative exercise. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, and free DOA defender of ants. Exactly. So I have some stuff. I'm going to move around a lot. And if you're watching my shows at all, I move around a lot. So we're going to get into stuff, and then I have a million windows open, and I'm going to show you some of it. So where do we start with this hot mess? Well, let's start with Nextdoor, where I originally began this with. So we're going to add this to the stage. Now, this was the original post from one John F., the mysterious John F. And this was the public notice that our neighborhood here in Los Feliz, Franklin Village, right, Celebrity Center and La Poubelle, it was neighborhood under attack. Oh my gosh. That sounds dangerous. Our neighborhood was under attack. It was like the citizens of Gotham City, where criminals ran wild. And, so John F. painted this thing. Now, this is an important thing, and I'm glad I archived it and I saved it. I'll tell you why later. And he was, John was complaining about large gatherings of people intermittently swarming, swarming the Franklin Village Strip, which means La Poubelle, under the pretense of protest. But as a neighborhood, we have come together to take a stand against what is decidedly stochastic terrorism. And so the reason the slide is important in terms of evidence, in my opinion, is John is laying out what will become LAPD language. So he's talking about individuals coming together. Now, this third paragraph, they are actively looking, capitalized, they are actively looking to agitate Franklin Village residents and patrons into any response for the sake of monetized live stream feeds. This is the key phrase. John F. alleges that these people who are swarming as protesters are actually stochastic terrorists. Propaganda is language by redefinition of words. And to agitate Franklin Village residents and patrons into any response. So this is an important thing. He says, John F. says, do not be baited, meaning provoked. Please use caution. So what he's saying is these people are dangerous and that they're stochastic terrorists. And in the final paragraph, John F. says, our neighborhood, our businesses, our livelihoods, our peace, our sanity can only be restored if we stand together like I know no other neighborhood can do. So whenever you hear the word sanity, that's a Scientology term. They love to talk about sanity. And the next slide. So this is an important thing. So he's saying that there's people who are going to try to provoke Franklin Village residents and that they're terrorists, okay? Now, then he shows Asia Streets, DOA, their fellow, whose name I don't recall, forgive me. Now, I'm interested in this LAPD officer. She's one of the people I'm looking into using. And again, I don't have a connection to this case professionally. I'm looking at it as a Scientology critic and someone who's looking at Hollywood LAPD, and I'm using open source intelligence. So this officer, I believe her to be Heather L. Mata, police officer 3+. And I have some video I'm going to show you. And there's other officers, but I'm just using her. This picture you're looking at comes from a Scientology publication. That's what's important about it. Now, I'm going to tell you two things. The Nextdoor thread where John F. lays out the line about terrorists seeking to provoke Franklin Village residents and that they're dangerous, that shows up in the tenor of the LAPD press release on the arrest of the three people. And Aaron Smith Levin talked about that. Now, guess what? Guess what? When we go to Nextdoor, I'm going to share the screen. When we go to Nextdoor, and well, let me go to the entire screen. Chrome tab. So we go to Nextdoor, and is that the one I want? Nope, that's not the one I want. Okay, so when we go to Nextdoor to read, to look at the thread, it's not there. The thread has been removed. John F.'s thread, coincident with the LAPD issuing a press release on the arrest, John F.'s thread disappeared. It disappeared. So that looks mighty suspicious, folks. Mighty suspicious that John F.'s thread has been removed from Nextdoor. And none of the mods took it down. So therefore, we conclude that John F. took it down after he did his dirty work. And I think that I would personally investigate a connection between La Poubelle and John F. Because that's what I would look for. And John F. may, in fact, be someone connected to La Poubelle. So people on the streets are talking around here. I got my ear to things. She was so calm and habituated in the midst of excessive violence, reference DOA's frisk. Yes, exactly. In fact, let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, good observation. Now I have some YouTube video, and I'm going to share the screen again. And we have to, why won't that come up? Why won't that come up? I don't know. Anyway, she's on plenty of video. I just have to find her. So is this it? Live stream. Okay. Now I'm sharing this. Now, excuse me. Okay. Now there is a who I believe is Officer Mata. Now this is some video I took, and there's plenty of video at the scene. And when they formed a skirmish line, I reported at the time, and I have this all in real time. And there's plenty of other footage of her. So you can see Officer Mata in the back. And that's all I'm going to show right now because LAPD is watching. Now in the LAPD manual, there's some newspaper coverage locally of the LAPD when they fill out a field ID card. They want to get all your social media contacts. So since LAPD is watching, I'm not going to give them everything I have because one, what I've been saying before, never educate your enemy. And in this particular case, Hollywood LAPD is not our friend. Okay. In fact, I think they're dirty cops, the ones that are involved in these arrests. So I've got some footage, and there's plenty of other footage. And there's plenty of other footage of the blonde officer, LAPD officer, 3+, 2 stripes, 1 star. She's a person of interest. Now, why? Because of this. When we go to Google Images, and okay, when we go to Google Images, and I have to share the screen on that, and I'm jumping around, you have to follow me. I can't explain. Just hang on and watch, and you'll see some research methodology. Okay, now if you type in, when you go to the Google machine, and you type in Scientology Faith and Blue Initiative, excuse me, Scientology Faith and Blue Initiative, guess what? We get Officer Mata there. Appears to be Officer Mata. You have to conclusively prove it, and that's easy enough to do. This picture was taken in 2023, and LAPD and the Church of Scientology, they put on this thing called the Faith and Blue Initiative, and there's plenty of photos of cops. And so first thing you do as an investigator, we're going to collect all this evidence, and I suggest you all download it, get copies of it so everyone has it, because it's disappearing from the internet. Okay. And Scientology, if we click on, if we want to go, oh, I want to see what this is about, and see what's going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. In fact, we're going to share this tab instead. So what's happening, my friends, is when we go to when we go there, when we go to Scientology, the page is gone, and I'm going to pull that up and show you that the page is gone. So when we try to find Officer Blondie, we'll call her as a code name, that page is gone. So Scientology is, when I go to share that page, it's gone. It's not there. It's disappeared. And I have to find out where I am in StreamYard. So you can see that The page is gone. It's just not there. And it's very, very strange. So what it appears is that Scientology took down the page. They de-indexed it. They de-indexed the page. So on the Wayback Machine, we can get it. And I'm going to show you the Wayback Machine. Let me see. So I went to the Wayback Machine to look for it. And I'm going to share that with you. So these are just things, like I said, you got to kind of follow along. I tend to move fast. This is how I think. I think fast and I research fast. And I'm sure you do too. But I want to show you on the Wayback Machine. I went and looked for that page that Scientology has taken down, not only the Nextdoor post, but they've taken down the Faith in Blue initiative that shows all Hollywood LAPD. They've taken it down. So when you start seeing evidence disappearing, you know there's some bullshit going on between Scientology and LAPD, that they're scrubbing things off the internet. That's not necessarily indicative of a crime, but it's suggestive of certainly a conspiracy. It's suggestive of a conspiracy to take things down and remove evidence. So this is why I urge everyone to archive all the time. And I'm trying to find, I had the Wayback Machine up and I just have to find the tab. Let me get this. Okay, there it is. We're going to share this. Okay, so this is the LAPD Faith in Blue initiative. This is the page that got taken down. And wow, what happened here? I'm getting like this, this strange effect. So anyway, they took it down. Let me see if I can find out what's going on here. So the Faith in Blue initiative is, there it is. If you look at it, and this is the page I got on Wayback from 2023, Scientology, why have you taken it down? And you can see here, I'm highlighting this picture block here. It'll be on the right-hand side, media and downloads. The pictures don't work, but that appears to be Officer Mata, who was involved in the arrests and has been very active. Now, the point I'm making is this page has been removed. So we have these officers. We can get their names, serial numbers. And the obvious question arises, if Officer Mata was involved with the Church of Scientology in a PR media effort, that's her right to do, certainly. But it's really a matter of shouldn't she have recused herself? Shouldn't she have recused herself or said to the watch commander, look, I've been involved, I've been involved with the Church of Scientology. And so this is a conflict of interest. And there she is. It's like, she's not going to get away. We have the evidence and I've downloaded it forensically. And there's Tombstone, Arizona. So that has nothing to do with anything other than I was looking for Tombstone. So let me get this page to stop sharing. It's almost like, and there's, of course, the page. So you can see that so much is gone. So much is gone. So what we have missing in no particular order is Scientology has taken down pictures of at least one of the officers involved in the arrests of the live streamers. So that's gone. So that is a question. And we have one officer in particular, Officer Mata, I believe, who certainly I saw her in command. I have footage of her. There's probably 10 to 15 cameras on her. And this is why when you're at an event, and especially I'm talking to a lot of you who are going to come out and visit, I think this weekend, here's my instructions, my suggestions. Photograph each police officer individually. You want to get their rank. Are they wearing stripes? If they're command, they'll be wearing bars, lieutenant, captain, whatever. Name badge, serial number. You can ask them their serial number, but you want to get a picture of their face, full body shot, any kind of rank, insignia. That will become that could become later important in a court case or a federal Department of Justice investigation. So think like an investigator. You're not an investigator, but think like one. I always take pictures of the police cars so I have the unit numbers. So and it'll be down on the door. Because right now we're fighting for our civil rights. We're fighting against the possibility of being falsely arrested or accused. That's why I archived the Nextdoor thing that got taken down, because it was so consonant. You could clearly see that whoever authored that likely was in touch with the LAPD about the 3 people who were arrested. We have Streets LA showing while Officer Mata was there in a skirmish line. She was also later on the staging area. So we're going to put it all together, okay? And one thing I do is I think this through, and then I'll put it down on my blog in writing. So one reason I started a blog, and you can too, I suggest you start a blog if you create a written record of time, date, place, photos, evidence, PDFs. That will help you have an organized presentation. But you can see like how fast I move when I'm thinking, but then I need to put it down in writing to slow it down and present it to you, or present it as evidence. So please archive and save everything, especially from Scientology, especially from LAPD, because it could become evidential in nature. And I might reach out to you and say, hey, can you send me the video you have? Or when they get an attorney, when the people who've been arrested get an attorney, that can be put together. And because all of us have tribal knowledge on how Scientology works, and we have eyewitnesses who were there, an attorney can put this all together for a lawsuit, or it can be given to a federal agency, because I doubt that LAPD Internal Affairs will do anything. After watching that so-called investigation into Captain Polk and Les Moonves, that was a disgrace. That was just an utter disgrace. In my opinion, that should have been a matter of criminal charges of telling Les Moonves that he had a complaint, that there was a complaint of a sexual nature against him, telling him that, and not protecting the woman who was complaining. That wasn't a criminal. That wasn't criminally charged. I mean, that's as dirty as it gets. I mean, I'm going to show you some other stuff. Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry. That's just inappropriate. I don't like that at all. That's really, you're gone. I'm sorry. I'm not going to put up with that. That's just, don't even go there, Kevin. Yeah, ban that guy. No, some of this stuff, no, I don't like that at all. So, YRB, be sure to keep an unedited version of all audio. Yes, exactly. So when you go into this kind of what could become something really big, you want to save everything. So I want to get on my other things I want to show you. This is just something in the past. Okay. Just some historical context that will help you. Let me do that, and I'm going to share screen. I want to give you a little bit of LAPD history that was recent. Okay, now 3 LAPD officers charged. 3 LAPD officers charged with falsifying records to claim people were gang members. So this is LA Times, July 10, 2020. There were about 24 officers involved in this. And there's been questions, are they trying to get the live streamers categorized as a gang? Yes, because they would like to, then they can do different things when you're a gang. So in 2023, PD officers were charged with falsifying records and obstructing justice by claiming without evidence that the people they stopped. Charges come several months after the LAPD was rocked by allegations that officers falsely portrayed people as gang members or associates on field interview cards. And I think that's what's happening here is they're trying to get the live streamers classified as a gang. So so if you're out there and if you're out there legally protesting and they ask you to, they want to fill out a field identification card on you, no. You ask them what their probable cause is. You tell them, I'm not part of a gang. I'm not part of a gang. I'm not giving you any of my social information. You don't have to answer their questions at all. They have to have a probable cause to arrest you. That's why it's so important to stay within the law. Okay. And because it's legal to purchase tear gas for self-defense, don't bring any. Okay. So somebody, and it could have been an undercover LAPD, could have been a PI from Scientology. Somebody knew the people arrested had bear spray, or I'm sorry, not bear spray, tear gas, which it's legal to purchase for self-defense. And LAPD undercover operations, I did get a tip from somebody on LAPD undercover infiltrating. So don't trust anyone you don't know. Don't tell anyone anything. Because LAPD, my belief based on this tip I got, and I have to work on it, is that they've inserted undercover at the request of the church. And that's, again, discoverable. So there's things going on I want to talk about other than, I think their effort is to try to use this tactic of putting people, categorizing them, and this is a gang. And again, we saw that with that question. And the ACLU got involved. There's Melanie Ochoa, senior staff attorney. There's people you can now. The reason this is important is labeling individuals as gang members or associates in the CalGang database, which is accessible to law enforcement throughout the state, can have serious implications. Beyond coloring any future interactions with police, the information can hurt people's immigration standing and their ability to find employment and housing, reform advocates say. So that was my one thing I wanted to warn you about is when cops get dirty, they can use dirty tricks like putting you into a database. So if they can get you classified as a terrorist, you could get into the Department of Homeland Security database. If they falsely put you in there, that could affect your ability to get a passport. It could affect your ability to get a job. So this is why LAPD, in my view, has thrown down the gauntlet and they're saying, we don't care about your free speech rights. We don't care about your civil rights. We're going to do whatever we're going to do to stop this live streaming. And because really for live streaming, compared to look, I was here during the insurrection, the civil uprising in Black Lives Matter. And that was a citywide huge, it went beyond a tactical alert. It was an emergency full scale. And there were 25,000 people marching past Scientology's test center. And so they did have to close intersections. There were lawsuits over excessive use of force. There were a lot of lawsuits that came out of that, out of what LAPD did on their policing. So compared to what happened with those Black Lives Matter protests following the murder of George Floyd, my view is and I've been here for the Rodney King riots. I was a kid during the Watts riots. I remember the police coming into our neighborhood. I lived in Norwalk. My family lived there. And they said, look, if this gets out of control, you're on your own. So my point is, I view the LAPD is completely overreacting to this situation deliberately. They're escalating it. And that Nextdoor post will be a part of it. Scientology pulling down its its web page on the Faith in Blue initiative, showing its work with LAPD. So here's the thing to keep an eye on. Go to Google, download images of LAPD and Scientology, and just catalog them. Someone should build a WordPress blog just so we have that there to use. If you want to do something useful, build a WordPress blog that just has pictures of Scientology and LAPD specifically. Now, what Scientology does to SafePoint itself, this could come back to haunt it and the LAPD. So there's plenty of pictures. Like I said, if you Google it, you'll see it. I've been in your Homeland Security database since 2003. Really? Oh, what for? This is so crazy. More like Orwell's 84. Yeah, but see, the thing is, Jane, it's micro-targeted to a very small group of live streamers. This isn't like a group of bank robbers, or this is no threat to anybody. It's happening, and this is why I've been slowly building the case. This is half a block in Franklin Village, just half a block between Bronson and Tamarind. Across the street, there's Scientology Celebrity Center, and then there's La Poubelle. This is half a block. It's nothing. It's a minute piece. It's a half a city block, if that. Very small area, and a hugely disproportionate police response. So that's why I suggest there's a conspiracy to create a narrative that the live streamers are some part of some gang, or they're out to terrorize. And that's why I believe the press release was a complete cover your ass. Is Larry getting too involved with an undercover protester with a track record undermining the protesters' top players? Well, that question we'll just put to the side, because that's an allegation. If you have any proof of an undercover protester, put it up. Put up your evidence. Post it somewhere. Because putting in a comment doesn't mean anything. That's an ill-formed question. That's just your opinion. So absent facts, show me why. Show me your evidence. Show me your actual evidence. Okay. With a track record or undermine the protesters' top players. Names, dates, what happened, events. Put that up in a blog post or somewhere. Put it somewhere where you can read it. Otherwise, see, this is the kind of crap. This is the kind of crap. It's just hearsay. It doesn't mean anything to a trained investigator. It doesn't mean anything. It's a slur on Lara. It's an attack. So this person here, Osa, is watching. I put this up just as evidence, because if we check on this individual, so remember to like. Thank you. All the businesses were busy that Friday night. Well, that doesn't have to. They were, but I'm going to go to the LAPD press release to show you. Okay, this is the Los Angeles Police Department, and this is their press release. And let's take a look at it here. I'm going to make the screen larger. So February 2024, download this. This talks about the arrest, the 5900 block of Franklin, affecting the first two arrests. They were alerted of a second physical altercation. Okay, so you can read this. I'll put it in the show notes. It basically says on 16 February 2024, and that would have been on last Friday. Today is February 24. Hollywood officers initially met with two victims of a reported battery at Hollywood Station's front desk. Oh, is that the same front desk where the woman complained about Les Moonves? Yes, it was. That was the same Hollywood Station's front desk where the report went to Captain Corey Polka. So first of all, you can't trust the front desk based on the Les Moonves case to do anything right, because we know that a front desk complaint of sexual harassment by a powerful man went to the captain of the station, who gave it to Les Moonves. So if that's the first knock on Hollywood station case. The officers obtained signed private person's arrest statement forms, and around 10:30 p.m., the officers conducted a follow-up to the area of the 5900 block of Franklin, where they located and arrested 2 suspects. Okay, now, what's wrong with that is everything. What's wrong with that is everything. So, one, you have a complaint. You have a complaint of assault, and it's 10:30 at night. So you have a private person's arrest. But if you actually count the number of officers there at the time, there were probably about 20 officers, 10 police cars they staged. So LAPD is telling me that to arrest 2 people on a private person's arrest, what we used to call a citizen's arrest, you needed a massive response of 20 officers, an LAPD helicopter, because you had a PPA. You needed this massive arrest. These guys weren't carrying AR-15s. You didn't even know at the time if they were carrying tear gas. You didn't know anything. There was no indication that they were armed and dangerous, or you would have brought in a SWAT team. So this is what I see as bullshit. You're going to deploy that much assets on a private person's arrest. You could have taken out 2 cops in 1 car and arrested them. You don't need to affect this huge thing, and we have evidence of it. So the disproportionate police response, and why do you go at 10:30 at night to the 5900 block? Well, it's because you know that all the live streamers and TikTokers are there, and you, as LAPD, I allege, want to put a chilling effect on free speech by making a show of force. Again, that's Chief Darrell Gates saying LAPD is the biggest gang in town, and we're not going to put up with social media, and we're going to act to suppress free speech. And said while they were there, they were alerted of a second physical altercation at the location. Well, this is where you pull the court records when it goes to trial, assuming streets could be right, this could be thrown out. They met with the victim and they did a field admonishment. That's saying, is that the person who assaulted you? So they arrested, a first person. So this is massive over response, and they charged them with, of course, you can read in that, they charged them with violations for unlawful use of tear gas. It's lawful to use tear gas for self-defense. So they would have to prove. Now, this is the other thing that you can tear down. Quote, the officer's investigation revealed that the battery crimes and the unlawful use of tear gas were committed by multiple suspects whose actions were planned, organized, and coordinated. This, to me, is the pith of the matter, where LAPD is working with Scientology's lawyers and Scientology itself to get to a conspiracy that doesn't exist. They would have to prove in a court of law, and they'd have to prove to a prosecutor that these 3 fellows had conspired to get tear gas in a planned, organized, and coordinated manner. Well, you'd have to show if they bought it at different places, there's no conspiracy there. You'd have to have evidence through text message or something saying, yes, we planned and we coordinated to use tear gas in an unlawful manner. Now, this just seems like pure bullshit to me, the way that's written. The investigation included evidence that tear gas canisters were distributed for purposeful use against others upon confronting and baiting them to physical altercations. This sentence is exactly matching the Nextdoor. So to me, it looks like an OSA, John F., maybe OSA, or a PI, or an attorney, writing the narrative that's echoed exactly in this bullshit LAPD press release, which becomes evidence. Anyone with information about this incident is asked to call Hollywood area detectives. Well, what if I have information about who actually wrote this? What if I have information about the LAPD officer who may be involved in this in a way that's corrupt. I'm sure as hell I'm not going to give it to Hollywood area detectives because based on Les Moonves, we know that we can't trust Hollywood area detectives. I won't even go downtown to major crimes. If I develop evidence, it'll go elsewhere. So these statements are in parallel with Nextdoor. So we actually have a narrative being laid down, repeated. So what you'd have to do is actually get John F., the identity of John F. on Nextdoor. You would have to get the people who made the complaint, and you would have to ask why. Now, this is the other thing. Okay. People come in and make a complaint. Okay. So they make a complaint at the front desk. Now, when the live streamers call the police, they waited forever and are told by the police that the dispatcher decides, the priority of calls. So when Scientology calls, LAPD rolls immediately. LAPD Hollywood rolls immediately. Here, somebody comes in, makes a report, and that somebody decides at 10:30 p.m. to roll out and force a large, huge unit to arrest these people. That means the captain of the station has to make the order, I think. Someone in senior command has to say, because look, you have an assault complaint, and that happened on the 16th. So you get an assault complaint on Friday night, and you decide to roll out probably at maybe half of your officers on duty. I don't know. We'll get the numbers of how many officers were on duty, how many rolled to arrest these two people based on a private person's arrest. So you can see the disproportionality. If you had a bank robbery, or if you had something that rose to the level of SWAT or that much force, but for a private person's arrest, you're going to roll out really 20 cops. So that's why when you start pulling it apart and you look at the Nextdoor narrative, you can start seeing it looks like a conspiracy. And when you see Scientology's webpage disappear and you see the Nextdoor post disappear, that's when you start calling bullshit. And that's when it starts looking like dirty cops. Everyone should stop calling them the Squirrel Squad. LAPD will say they're an organized group. Well, Joe, I mean, that can be argued both ways. That's an informal thing. I mean, people post on the internet. You can't make the case. LAPD would have to make the case. Because right now, just calling it an informal group, they don't have any legal standing as a gang. So that would be the burden would be on LAPD and the district attorney. So I know what you're saying, but Squirrel Squad is just a phrase. It doesn't mean anything. All the indicia of an organized group does not fit it. It's just like a term of convenience that's used. And I'll give you an example. Well, I'm going to skip that. So, well, as I understand the charges for tear gas, and if they were carrying pepper spray, please clarify. I haven't read the arrest reports yet. I want to get those. So there you go. So was it pepper spray? Was it tear gas? Because I want to read the code on that. But yes, Jane, the Nextdoor posts were removed. They were taken down. They're not available. So in the California code, Jeffrey, I know OSA create fake websites about their enemies. Yes, they do. Please tell me if this is an example or not. I trust your judgment. I'm not following your question. Do you have a link? This channel? You'd have to post a link. I don't know, and you misspelled my name. I'm not sure. Post a link to what it is. I'll take a look at it. So anyway, those are the questions I'm looking at because of the things that are being removed. And there's what I want to get is basically the ideal thing you'd want to build. you would want to go to Google Images, Scientology LAPD, focus on Pack Base and Celebrity Center, get pictures of all the LAPD officers. And then you can use a database, and one is being built, in fact. Let me go watching the watchers. You can see how many police officers were involved in the 1030, going to arrest 2 people on a personal arrest, why they rolled out half the department assets. That's what you want to know. So let me show you another screen that somebody has created. And it is, oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, okay. Watch the Watchers. Now, this website, Watch the Watchers, watchthewatchers.net, LAPD cop. Now, this is a database, a project by the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. This website you can use, okay, that has some information on it about LAPD. So the goal would be to basically look at every cop who was involved in those arrests and see if they have been involved with the Church of Scientology. So by showing all the LAPD cops on the 16th who were involved in the arresting 2 people, and then a third, how many of them have been involved with the church? Now, that point goes to bias. If Officer Mata had visited the Church of Scientology on numerous occasions, allowed her image to be used, if the LAPD had allowed her image and photo to be used in Church of Scientology publicity, that would arguably predispose Officer Mata to bias, as well as the other officers. So that goes to a defense. Officer Mata, how many times have you interacted with Scientologists? What if there's 24 times she has interacted? That would predispose her to bias. And her behavior on the video, you could argue that she was aggressive toward the protesters based on the footage. But see, those are the kinds of things you want to build as a case for bias, a case for colluding, even with Celebrity Center. So that's how you assemble a case. And some of the things, some of the things that have gone on, you just ignore. Okay, like one of the questions I was asked, you have to show evidence of Lara being involved in anyone. So when you get into that legal arena, you actually have to have evidence you can work on. And that's why I'm showing what has disappeared and how quickly it's disappeared. And what about the fact that Competent Chris was beaten so badly he was protesting that he had to have staples in his head, stitches in his feet? Well, that's going to be a question for his attorney. And whether that turns into a lawsuit, I don't know, Monica. So there are a lot of questions. Just to show you something I have. Is this it? Just give me a moment, please. Okay. So there's a lot of questions that remain unanswered, but those are the main things I've seen. The websites that have been taken down. And then when we go back to Google LAPD, I want to go back to that page. Okay. Oh, excuse me. I thought I had my phone off. Let me turn that down. I'm sorry. A little bit distracted here. Okay. Let's go back to this page because it's very important. We're going to go back and share a page, share screen. Now, trust me, I will put this all into a, a neat form on my blog, but you can see how all of us work like this. We begin with scraps of paper, Google searches, and then you put it together. Let's go back again to a Google search page of Scientology Faith and Blue Initiative. This is of such great interest to me because this we can work with. So search Scientology Faith and Blue Initiative. This is evidence. Can you imagine this before a jury? One picture. And right there we count. You always count 6 officers speaking at a Scientology event. Someone, now here we have Officer Rodriguez, so we can get names and serial numbers of people working with Scientologists. We can see if those 2 fellows behind them are private investigators. More pictures. That's a second picture with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 officers. So we have a picture with 12 officers. Some of them may be duplicates. And here's a band. We want to know when the event took place. There's a police officer playing a guitar, another police officer playing the guitar. So this event, the Faith and Blue Initiative, we want to know who the speakers are and how many officers attended and how many of those officers worked as security. So right now, just the Faith and Blue Initiative, is that officer made it? We need to confirm that. We need to find out, are these PIs here? Who are these people? Are they paid locals? And so this is the most damning piece of evidence we have, Scientology Faith and Blue Initiative. And community comes together in support of the LAPD. Now, when we open it, does it take us anywhere? And that's the question we ask. And so we'll see what links are up and what are down. Now I'm going to share this tab. And I think you should have that there. Okay, now see, this is when I clicked over from Google, what's happened is the photos are removed. So we have a date, October 12, 2022, and we need to get a count of Hollywood Division police officers who may have been transferred elsewhere. And that includes detectives. That includes anyone in command. So we know that the event happened on October 8, 2022 from Scientology's page. This page needs to be downloaded. We also need to find out who is the money behind Faith and Blue Weekend. Well, obviously the Church of Scientology. We know that Hollywood Captain Yasser Jalani was involved. He could be questioned in a lawsuit. When did you meet with Scientology? Why did you give LAPD support to Scientology? And let me go back. I'm sorry. I want to go back to that. Oh, look, it won't load again. Well, isn't that odd? I was clicking on there. So we had the name of an officer, and I might just be having glitchy, but he said before it cut out, he said that he was giving special a shout out to the Church of Scientology. So let's just go with this a little bit more, because this is the kind of stuff I would dig into. We have Jessica in the chat. Hey, Jessica. There you go. Okay. I want to go back. Yes, thank you. I've already used the Wayback Machine, but thank you. But I want to go back to this page because it's we got bumped off on it. So let's go back to the this data-rich page, and this is where Scientology, when we go back to it and we see how much evidence we can collect, and then you can also take go into this. So these are the pictures, and is very interesting. So this Faith in Blue event we dig into, we can also just put in the search Scientology LAPD. And this is not, I'm not doing anything you don't know how to do. These are older pictures. And so that's the kind of stuff we want to get. We just want to get that level of information. So Scientology LAPD is generic. And when we go back to Scientology Faith and Blue Initiative, that appears to be the most data-rich source of looking for current events and names. And as I said, when we click on it, it tells us, this will give us information we need. This is a May 5th, 2023 page. And so any names of police officers you can get, you can ask the LAPD to name these officers in the photo. And if not, you can get them on Watch the Watchers. And you can ask, have these police officers, were they involved in the arrests of the live streamers? Have they worked private security for the Church of Scientology? If so, this would predispose them to bias, and therefore the arrest should be thrown out. This is stuff you could take to the prosecutor, legitimate questions a lawyer of the people who've been arrested could ask. So we know that they're claiming these organizations came together. It says, delighted with the turnout, the LAPD Hollywood captain thanked the Church of Scientology for its commitment. Now, we know Faith and Blue founder, Reverend Markle Hutchins, who arrived in Los Angeles from Atlanta. Well, who is he? What's his connection to the church? So we need to look up Markell Hutchins. Okay, we need to see his ties. What group does he belong to? The Church of Scientology, LAPD, and the Way to Happiness Foundation have partnered in monthly cleanups since 2018. Well, that's an interesting data point. So we know that LAPD has been involved in monthly cleanups since 2018. So who are the officers? Who are the commanders in LAPD? Do they work private security for the church? How often have they been at the Celebrity Center? Have they dined at the Celebrity Center gratis? So we want to really dig into it, and this is the evidence. That's why you make a PDF out of these pages before they go down. And this even mentions David Miscavige, so he would obviously have cognizance of this event. In a lawsuit, he could be named to testify as to his knowledge of the relationship of Church of Scientology International and Celebrity Center with the LAPD, because he's named here. So this is the kind of stuff you have to get down into the internet of the weeds. And this is so data rich. This is so data rich for investigative purposes. And that's the point I wanted to make. So what you want to do now is go save all these things between LAPD, Faith and Blue on Google, all the articles, all the pictures, all the officers. That's first compiling evidence. And then you sort it out, and you would give it to their lawyer or the district attorney to say, and you raise questions, why so much? Again, my question I keep going back to, why so many officers were needed, because Streets LA's video is there, as is plenty of other. I was there, my video is there. Why so many officers to make an arrest of 2 unarmed people on an assault on a Saturday night? This is Hollywood. There's violent crime going on, and yet you're using half your department, half a Hollywood division, it seems like. I mean, there's a lot of cops there, and you're staging, and you've got 6 on the street, and you're blocking intersections for 2 guys on an assault. Really, these aren't serial killers on the loose. And you're bringing in a helicopter at $3,000 an hour. That's why I think there's psychological warfare element involved with LAPD. They're trying to assert their power, and I keep going back to Chief Gates saying, we're the biggest gang in town. We run this. And I think it's one of those things where Scientology has a vested interest. Scientology, you have to look at who is their interface with LAPD. That's discoverable in a lawsuit. Who's their interface? Who are they talking to? So those are the kinds of connections that happen. And I think LAPD and Scientology have made a major screw up in these arrests because it goes to lawsuits, certainly Aaron's. You can start seeing all the connections. You can start asking for documents. There you go. Mary, record and date the responses for your mental health against the gaslighting. Yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm not going to get into the issues of pepper spray. I'm reading the comments. I'm just showing you how I'm thinking of this, and then and I jump around a lot. But like all of you, I can formalize it into a blog post on my blog if I want to, or I can be retained by an attorney to. So there's attorney-client privilege with one of the people who've been arrested. And it might be that Streets LA, he's offered the opinion that the DA is going to throw out the charges. I tend to think that's what's going to happen. But this has shown just how dirty the LAPD is when it comes to protecting Scientology on a very selective basis. LAPD is supposed to protect all people equally, but me being there as an eyewitness and watching this excessive use of police force, this expenditure of dollars, a private person arrest doesn't take, again, that's my point I go over and over with. You don't need that many cops, that much police power. And that's what I saw with the anonymous protests, the huge amount of police power used against kids with signs. So you wonder, LAPD Scientology goes back to 2008 and earlier because we saw how many LAPD were there for the anonymous protests. That's why I call it LAPD overkill. Boy, and if you have a problem, there's times when you could call 911 on an emergency and you'd be told you have to wait. It's tough. But if you're Scientology, boom. So that's why we have to break up this seemingly Scientology LAPD mafia connection because it sure looks dirty, Interesting. Yeah, charges thrown out. Yes. Have to call it a night, my dukes. I'm in Eastern Standard, tough chemo treatment today. I'm sorry to hear that, my dukes. Yes, please call it a night. I'm glad you could drop by and hear our thoughts. I'm sorry you're take care of your health and thank you. Way to distract from chat. Okay, so there's just some stuff going on in comments. So there you go. Like I said, I'm not going to do the law. I'm not going to get into pepper spray. I will show you one thing. I'm going to show you the California code, and this is really all that matters for our purposes. I think, and I have all kinds of things. Where is it? The public notice. Boy, this is part of my problem is having too many windows open. There's one yesterday, and basically, I'm going to show you the penal code in California because that's really all that's concerned. And I did pull it up. Okay, so I'm going to share one more window, and this is California. This is the code that's concerned. So pepper spray, tear gas, it doesn't matter. All that's concerned is what is on up for us right now is what is on the actual rest. Now, this is California code. So as far as what's pepper spray, the arrest, the press release from LAPD said tear gas. And you can go to the California legislative information, and I've highlighted the section under which they were arrested. Quote, notwithstanding any other provision of law, any person may purchase, possess, or use tear gas or any tear gas weapon for the projection or release of tear gas if the tear gas or tear gas weapon is used solely for self-defense purposes, subject to the following requirements. So the real question is they were charged with tear gas under this code, and they're trying to allege they weren't using it for self-defense. So that's all we can look at because that's all the LAPD is charging with. So that's what you want to do. We all need to look. This is open source intelligence. Okay, we can get pictures of the police officers, video, and then anyone who was in the church who cares to leak can talk about safe pointing with LAPD. And if it goes to trial, if LAPD actually decides to have the DA charged, then a lot's discoverable. And that's, again, why I think Streets is right. The LAPD Hollywood station has too much to lose by actually pushing this to trial. Because that puts the LAPD, those raises all the questions for the one I keep coming back to, why so much force? Who did you talk to at the Church of Scientology? Who are the people who made the complaints? Who is John F. at Nextdoor? Why does the Nextdoor narrative match the LAPD press release? Are you know, how many of your officers have worked for the church and so on, like I've been saying throughout. So that's kind of how I think and how I'm going to put together and how I'm going to investigate it on an open source intelligence basis. And I'm, like I said, I'm doing this as a Scientology critic. And I think what the live streamers have done is they put an enormous amount of pressure on Scientology, and Scientology in turn has turned to their colleagues, their friends, and who knows, their associates in LAPD to get a disproportionate amount of police force to as an attack on civil rights and free speech. So I think this could really go real bad for LAPD because if we get American Civil Liberties Union and a couple other people, certainly some attorneys around town who have been against LAPD for a long time, yeah. So yes, they would lose during discovery. I think they would. I don't know if it'll go that far. Now, I had a note that I don't have, that the thread was taken down. I had John F. had made the claim that he walked down through the crowd of protesters and almost lost his life, that he's lucky to get out of there alive. So there was some exaggeration. I would love to see John F. tracked down and subpoenaed. That could be possible unless it was a sock account. He made the allegations, but we have them as evidence, and it's usable. So I'm going to post the PDF on my blog of the Nextdoor conversation. So there you go. And the other people who are making blogs about this, you know, all of us comparing notes online in real time is really good to know. In addition to me also watching my videos and everyone else's, LAPD now is in on the mix. So there's a lot more data than I've collected than I presented, and there's a lot of footage. One thing the LAPD says in one of their manuals is to make sure you're aware that the eyes of the world are upon you, because they know that all the cameras on them. And I think in these what happened in Franklin Village, the LAPD lost situational awareness. They possibly violated their own procedures, possibly. That would be a matter for, and again, I don't know that the LA Ethics Commission, LA Police Commission is going to do anything about it. I think they are protecting their own in this case. So, but we'll see. So that's what I have. That's what I have. And thank you for watching. Any questions before you go? You want to put a question? And I really haven't been keeping up with the comments. I was just kind of showing you how I'm thinking this through and what I'm looking at. And I'm always glad for additional content. You can always reach out to email me. By the way, people who did email me, I owe you a response. I did get your emails on that information you sent me. Thank you. It's very interesting. I just haven't had time to respond. So awesome stuff. Thank you. Meditating with Love. Thank you. I appreciate it. And hi, Jesse. Glad you're here. Pick 61. Question, I presume it would be a good idea to take a copy of the website source page too. Would that identify John F. source data source two? I'm not sure how I would need an expert. I don't think so because the post is gone. I have it on PDF, so I don't know, but it's just good to have. So there you go, and that's it. And we'll come back with more information as it develops. And this is a developing case, and there's a lot of really smart people on the streets involved. There's a lot of activists and critics involved. One thing that really interests me, just as an aside, uh, I like all the former inmates, the convicts who are out on YouTube commenting on Danny Masterson, bringing an additional dimension to this. And I'd like to talk to one of them. I might do a live with one of them about their experiences with the police and social media and how they twist things around and how they can twist things around on the street. But I did mention that LAPD has been in trouble before for trying to put people into the gang database. So there's something up. There's some logic. There's some document within LAPD. Probably some emails to Scientology. There would be a list of all the phony calls. And one other point I wanted to make, somebody mentioned that LAPD rolled up, and I haven't confirmed this, but said there was a bomb threat. When I was at the one of the events there in Franklin Village, someone said that the police had rolled up on a bomb threat. And what stood out to me about that is that if there was a bomb threat, you usually roll up with the bomb squad. You evacuate the entire area and you bring in the bomb squad. You bring in the robots, and the bomb technicians. You don't just kind of roll up on a bomb call with some police cars to harass live streamers. So that also didn't make sense to me. If they actually thought it was a bomb threat, there would have been the bomb squad. So many things don't fit. And so OSA, we're watching everything. LAPD, we're watching everything. I mean, we meaning the community of people. And we know the officers. There is databases. There are people building stuff. So anyway, we have our rights, and we're going to do an investigation of the police because that's what you have to do. And we're going to call in attorneys and, get all the help we can get, because we don't want our civil rights taken by this unholy alliance of LAPD and the Church of Scientology. And I will leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening.